Hey everybody, this is Buddy Blackford here with another After Effects CS6 tutorial. This time we're going to go over slip editing, and I'm just going to only cover slip editing in this tutorial because it's kind of a little hard to understand. Pretty much when you edit your video footage like so and move the layer and trim it, you get this little light bar right here that is actually video footage that is still there, but I mean you can't see it. So say you wanted your video footage to only be like a second long or something around there, like this, but hey, you accidentally started on the wrong section of your video. You can come over to the part of the video that's lighter, and it'll turn into a double arrow with two bars on the edge. This is when you know that your slip editing tool is active, and you can click and drag, and the video footage will kind of like slide behind your bar that's already there, and you can change where the video footage is going to start, like this. Now, hopefully you get the idea. It's a little hard to understand, but just kind of think of it as this is like your footage right here is like a bridge, and your footage that you trimmed already is like water, and it goes underneath, and you can change where you wanted your footage to start and everything, instead of having to trim a layer and then move it with the selection tool and trim it again to get to where you want it to. You can use the slip editor to easily change where your footage is gonna start. Also, when you're slipping your footage, it's going to leave the keyframes there in the same place unless you select the keyframes. It'll slip along with the footage that you had. So if you spent some time masking or rotoscoping and you want the footage to stay, you want your mask to stay with your footage, then you'll want to have that mask selected, and you'll want to have that mask keyframe selected, and it'll slip alongside with the footage. So what I did is I did a quick mask here. Let's put it on, and I just masked out roughly the nose of the lion. So you can see there, when I turn the toggle mask on, you can see that there is a mask there, and it's cutting out his nose. And I roughly have it following. And I also have opacity keyframes down here just to help show you what's going on. So let me slip the footage right here and watch the keyframes. You can see that they stay in position where they are. Well, that's not good if I mask, because now the mask doesn't line up anymore. So I'm going to hit Control Z to get it back to where it was, and it the nose kind of lines up. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. So what you want to do when that happens is select these keyframes here, and when you go to slip the footage, now those keyframes that you have selected will stay with it, and I can come over here to where there are keyframes, and you can see that it's the mask still lines up. So that's the way to work with that. So I'll get back there, and as you see, the opacity keyframes didn't move along with it. They stayed where they were. So you want your footage to fade out, but you want the mask to stay with it. Use your slip editor there to keep everything lined up, and move your keyframes along the timeline as you like. Now if you try to like move this, it'll move the keyframes with it also. So I mean, now you can see how to properly use that. If you're working and the slip editor just doesn't show up right here, like say we're at the we didn't need to trim the footage at all there, and now you're like, how do I slip edit these? Well, if you come up here to the pan behind tool, which you can press Y for the hotkey for it, click on it, and now your slip editor is back on. So as you can see at the end of this footage over here, you can see that this is being slipped. Now I'm gonna go back, and I guess that's that's all there is to really show about the slip editor. It's handy when you're rotoscoping things. It's handy when you just want to move your video footage around. For images, it doesn't really work a whole lot. You can let me bring this down here. So here's the image, and if I try to slip edit or try to edit, there's not going to be any extra space here for you to slip edit. So you would just come to the pan behind tool and move it, but I mean there's not a whole lot of sense, but you can still do it. You can move keyframes around like that, so that'll be easy. I mean, you can also move keyframes around on an image with the selection tool. So the slip editor is mostly for video. That's all for this tutorial. Hopefully you guys learned something, and hopefully you can use it on your next project. Thanks for watching. See you in the next tutorial.